And welcome back. Ivory in Oroville, California. You are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, Mr. Pocan. I was just wondering if you supported there was an online movement, and it's called the Justice Democrats, and they're trying to build up a grassroots force to take over the Democratic Party and stuff because of all the corporate Democrats and stuff in there. I was just wondering if you knew about it and what did you think about it?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the organization, Ivory. I am a strong supporter of Keith Ellison for the chair of the DNC for probably some of the same reasons why you're looking at the Democratic Party and saying why it needs some changes. You know, I think the idea that you put someone in there because they're going to raise a lot of money, they're going to go to the pharmaceutical companies and say, hey, you gave us 100,000 last year, can you do 150 this year? We know what that means. It's not good for the party. It's not building from the grassroots. What we need to do is really take, I think, the movement that surprised a lot of people in the Democratic Party, that people like Bernie Sanders created, and make sure that we're taking it within the party. So it's not necessarily about a single individual, but it's about all the races up and down the ballot, from state legislative to local elections to congressional and Senate races. And Keith Ellison is that person who's like the perfect hybrid, right? I mean, he was active with that movement that Bernie created, and yet at the same time, he can be taking that across the country at all levels of government and how useful that can be. So again, Ivory, I don't know specifically about the movement that you're talking about, but I can tell you there's a lot of people who want to democratize the Democratic Party, go figure. And I think that the best way we can do that is this month, make sure that we get Keith Ellison elected as the DNC chair. And you can do that by reaching out to your DNC member in your state. And I believe we may have shared a list with
you. Did, and in fact, I got a more, that one didn't have contact information.
Oh, okay.
I got one from Larry Cohen over at Our Revolution that had contact information for about 3/4 of the people.
Perfect.
And I don't know if we posted it yet or not. I think we did because I forwarded it to Sue and to Sean. Great. So I'm pretty sure it's up there. So, okay. And Samantha in Fort Myers, Florida. Samantha, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi.
Hi, Samantha.
Sorry. I'm just starting out, like, trying to familiarize myself with the political atmosphere. And I've been learning a lot lately. And the reason I'm calling is I was curious about the refugee ban, the Muslim ban.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious about 8 U.S. Code 1182 and the 1951 Geneva Refugee Convention. And I was wondering if one negates the other. I'm confused how we're supposed to take in refugees according to the Geneva Convention, but according to Code 1182, F, the president, the inadmissible aliens. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous.
No, don't be nervous, Samantha.
I was just wondering, like, if one negates the other, I guess is the best way I know how to ask it.
Well, I mean, we've had a tradition of taking in refugees, as have other countries, and unfortunately, this is flying in the face of that tradition, and that's why so many other countries have looked at us and saying, what are you doing by doing this? You know, this is a very discriminatory ban. Even though they say it's not a Muslim ban, it clearly is. In fact, their own words when they said they might start allowing Christians from these countries reinforced that it's a discriminatory ban. I think it's unconstitutional. We'll be able to fight it at that level, but get active with those local and national groups working at it and keep listening to programs like this to keep informed. Thanks, Samantha.
There you go. Thank you, Congressman. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and in the studio with me, Congressman Mark Pocan. He is the first vice chair of the House Progressive Caucus, number 3 guy in the House Progressive Caucus. Is actually a BFD. It's a big deal in my mind, anyway.
The caucus is great.
For you.
We have 75 members. We're growing still. I think we have either one short or one shy of all the new freshmen have come to the Progressive Caucus, the largest values-based caucus within the Democratic Party, and that's where the power is, right? We work with the outside groups, and we're leading the resistance in Congress.
Well, that's the amazing thing about the last election was that the genuine progressives got elected generally. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. And I didn't even hit I don't think I hit the sneeze button. My apologies to those of you listening. But in any case, the people who actually ran as progressives got elected fairly handily. It was the people who tried to walk down the middle line and say, well, I'm a little this and a little, they were having the problems. But anyway, this is your time and your time. So let's pick up some phone calls here. Nick in Yorkville, Illinois, listening on WCPT, AM 820 out of Chicago. You're on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan.
Hey, Tom. Thanks,
Hey, Nick.
Congressman Pocan, thanks a lot for doing this. We appreciate it.
Of course, Nick.
I heard yesterday or the day before a great reference for this law called the Country Club rule. And let's say you guys want to, you want to pay for your Country Club private dues. But then I don't want to pay the dues, but I feel like golfing that day. I should be able to go in there regardless, right? I know it's a rhetorical question, and I'll leave it up to you
So
guys.
you're talking about right to work. Yeah. The right to work for less, actually, is. I
Nick,
always try to use that phrase.
Yeah, it's a good point, and one of the other things that we always try to remind people too about right to work is there are multiple studies that show people who belong in unions are going to make about 27% more on average than people who don't.
Yeah, $6,000 per year per household in a union in one of the states that allows unions. You make $6,000 a year more than in the 28 states that have done right to work for less.
Yeah, and I think that just, that's a big part of what's going on is they're just going after that. But you and I both know, because we're both in small business owners, the fact that responsible small business owners don't support this change should say something, right? The fact that in Wisconsin, 400 contractors opposed going to right to work means businesses didn't ask for it. So this is purely either a political thing to try to destroy unions.
To defund the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's all about. And Republicans have been upfront about that since the 40s.
Yeah, and that's what the whole collective bargaining changes in Wisconsin, what we refer to as the uprising, when Act 10 happened in Wisconsin. I was told by Republicans this is to go after power for the Democratic Party.
There you go. Good. Ellie in Fresno, California. You're on the air with Congressman Mark Pocan.
Hi. I've been thinking about how to improve the Democratic Party to make it very strong in lieu of Congress ever passing a publicly funded campaign bill across the country. I think if the Democrats said we will not take any corporate donations and no candidate running for office will take any corporate donations, I think Bernie showed you'll get more money than you know what to do with.
Well,
Ellie, thank you.
Yeah, Ellie, so when I was in the Wisconsin State Legislature, I was the author of the 100% public finance bill. I think that's the best way. Take money completely out of it. In this Congress, with this president, that's not going to happen. I think the magic of what happened with the Bernie's campaign was that we showed a lot of small donations can come together and become a big force. And you can actually run campaigns and not have to go to that pharmaceutical company and all these other companies and beg for dollars. And of course, that they want access and they want influence. Instead, you can do it from the grassroots. So I think I've noticed a real change here. I've watched Chuck Schumer bring in Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Tammy Baldwin into leadership, understanding that there's something to the progressive grassroots movement. I've watched now the Senate stand up more and more to these nominees, even in areas where they may not have opposed in the past. They're understanding that's where the people want them. So I think we're having that impact right now. The fact that, millions of people, not Donald Trump millions, but real millions of people came to those marches right after the inauguration, the women's marches across the country, tells me we've got something. And we just have to now get it organized so that people can take that anger, that disappointment, that concern, and put it into action. And we can do that if we work with those organizations out there, national and local, that are working on these issues.
Cool. Meg in Dallas, Texas. Hey, Meg, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan. We have about 2 minutes to the break.
Oh, not a problem, Tom. I live in Dallas, Texas. My senators are Cruz and Cornyn. Calling their office, I feel like I almost feel like when I call them and for example, about the immigration ban. They're polite, but it's almost like when you hang up the phone, it's like, yeah, who cares? I hate to say it, but that's the feeling I get when I call my senators. I belong to the ACLU, Southern Poverty Law Center, Planned Parenthood. I just don't feel like my voice is heard when I call my senators.
Well, two things, Meg. One, they do record those calls, pro and con. So if they get a lot of people saying they're doing something wrong, it ultimately may have an impact because they have to look at that.
By record, you mean they mark it down? Right?
Yeah, not record your voice, but actually mark it down so they know there's 400 people who said this and 300 people who said that. And don't forget, you've got senators who are up for re-election. So you're going to have Ted Cruz up, and there's several people already talking about potentially running. If you don't like what their views are, then change the faces of who's in Congress, and you can work on that. But I applaud you for working with the groups you mentioned are 3 of the best groups that are working on these issues right now. Just keep that up, because your help to those groups is going to help someone in a swing state. And look, on Betsy DeVos, right now we have 2 senators from Alaska and Maine who, because of the calls of their constituents, have now said they're going to vote no. All we need is 1 more person, or they're going to have to bring in Vice President Pence to do a historic, having to come in and be the deciding vote for a cabinet secretary. That's
that was the thing I got from. That was the thing I got from the Progressive Caucus. Was here is a list of 4 senators. Maybe it was from another group. There's a list of 4 Republican senators that
reach out to,
are broadly thought of as being reach-outable.
Yeah.
And I'll dig through and I'll get that out. We'll do that later on. Meg, thank you so much for the call. Thank you.